All right, y'all. I'm back again with a quick, not so quick, with a quick video. Um, I'm in my car. I'm not even sure if I can call this a blackout. I mean, it's kind of blackout, but it's not really blackout. It may not be blackout by the time this shit is over with. But so I've been looking at comments. I just finished watching DJ stream. DJ's Raw Cut True. Shout out to DJ. Uh, and the rest of those guys that were on the panel. Uh, and like I said, I've also been looking at comments, not comments specifically under his video, but comments all over the internet. And here's my thing, right? Okay. The topic is bad games, right? And I want to preface this comment or set of comments by saying this. I don't think Lonzo had a good game overall. Okay. But this notion of a bad game, let's talk about it. Now, y'all know I'm going to give you a different perspective than what you're getting from social media or media in general. Um, so here's my thing. Define to me a bad game. Right? Hear me out. Hear me out. It's one thing to say a player has had a bad game. Okay? And I agree with Stan. I've shared this position. A bad game happens in the league. It's okay. BI had won the last game of preseason. The games didn't count then. Okay? So nobody tripped too much. But what's a bad game? Okay, define to me a bad game, because here's my thing. Okay, there's yeah, you had a bad game because you just didn't play well to some degree, and then there's you had a bad game because you didn't do your role well. So to me, I need to understand what's a bad game. I don't define bad game by stats necessarily. Yeah, stats can play into that to some degree, but that doesn't mean you necessarily had a bad game. If I'm not mistaken, Steven Adams had nine points and 9 rebounds, right? You know, that's a double single. But would that constitute a bad game on his behalf? See, we can't solely account the stats for a bad game. Here's my thing. Okay, Lonzo shot 2 of 8 from the field. You know, that's the crawl in a lot of people's, issue here. Let's say Lonzo shot 6 of 8 from 3. Did he have a bad game now because he didn't attack the basket? Is attacking the basket necessary for Lonzo to have a good game? Like, let's answer this issue, because if we're going to say that is what constitutes him having a good game, okay, how many times a game does he have to attack the basket for it to be a good game? And we have to be consistent with that. Now, I need an answer to that question. I told you what I thought would be a general looking shot tree: 5 mids, 5 attacks at the basket, 5 threes, if he's going to be taking 15 shots a game. He didn't get anywhere close to that today. So what would have been a decent, appetite of attacks? Should it have been, 3 threes and 2 mid ranges and 2 attacks at the basket, or 3 attacks at the basket? Like, how does that break down, right? Did he not take enough shots in general? Like, my thing is, I don't think, like, when we're discussing a good game or bad game, We got to look at what the coach wants them to do, which, unless you know what the coach wants them to do, you can't critique their game effectively. Because here's the thing. Let's say we want Lonzo to attack the rim, right? Let's say we want him to attack the rim like 5 times. What if the coach is telling Lonzo, look, for this game, what we need you to do is to spot up 3, let B.I. play make, and play defense? What if the coach says that? Now listen to me. Does that mean he had a bad game? Or does that mean our perception of the bad game is flawed? Right? Here's my thing. I think overall, regardless of what role he played yesterday, I think Lonzo could have left more out on the court. Fair enough. But is this a bad game where I want to crucify him for? Absolutely not. Look, at the end of the day, he still got you 6 points and 6 assists. He still played good defense. Okay? Of course, you want more out of him. No problem. The first game, he was much better because he was scoring the ball. But I didn't think Lonzo had a great game because he didn't do all of the other stuff. But B.I. was taking care of those duties. So it was a trade-off. And what they needed from him was the points. And I've told you guys, I believe he's going to fill in where he needs to fill in. That's his role. In my eyes, he's the glue guy. So, what are we going to talk about here with Lonzo? We need to find a system or a metric that works. Because we can't on one hand sit here and be like, okay, Lonzo in doing his job, but then he has a completely different job than what we think. And so, again, if Lonzo had made 6 of 8 from 3, would people say he had a bad game, even if he didn't attack? The answer to that would be no, because he got 18 points, 18.6 assists, and however many freaking rebounds he got, like 5 rebounds. Nobody would have an issue. I think this is the part that's getting lost in this. The good game, bad game cannot be a direct reflection of how many points he gets all the time. If he got 2 points and got 25 assists, would he have a good game or a bad game? See, the thing where it is right now is people, and I get it, we look at the games and we break down film, yada, yada, yada. Some people do that better than others. Some people don't know what they're talking about, some do. I'll probably fall somewhere right in the middle. Maybe if we're talking about coaches and stuff, I'm probably way on the bottom end, not even within their realm of skill level, which is fine. But I want to be fair when we have these discussions, right? And this is not just Lonzo, this is anybody in the league. Anybody in the league. What is your role and how did you do your role? How well did you do your role? Because it's one thing to do your role, it's one thing to be doing 2 or 3 other roles along with it. Lonzo, apparently yesterday, if you didn't know any better, you would have thought Lonzo's role was to be a 3-and-D guy and play, and that was all he was supposed to do. Okay? Did he perform the duties of a 3-and-D player well? I think he did. Yes. Could he have shot better? Absolutely. The shot didn't fall yesterday. No problem. I get it. Again, did he if that was his role by Stan for that game, did he do that well? Yes. Whether the shots fell is not a matter of, did he take the threes that he needed to take? Did he defend? Yes. Now, again, like I prefaced, I said I thought he had an overall bad game. Now, my reason for thinking he had a bad game is I think he should have took more mid-ranges because he worked on it. I think that was a necessary evil, regardless of him being 3-and-D. I think this is me as a person. This is an individual. This is just me. This is your boy, just Jay Strokes. This is not Lonzo. This is not Stan. All that other stuff. This is me. If I'm a gamer, a player, right? My objective is, yes, there's a game plan and then there's winning. I'm going to operate within the game plan to the best of my abilities, but I'm also going to win. Did Lonzo make winning plays yesterday? The answer to that is irrefutably no, he did not. If I'm a gamer or a player, I want to make the winning plays. For any of y'all that plays video games, I play a game called Overwatch. It's a 6-on-6 shooter kind of game. Okay, my job, they have roles: tank, damage, and support. Each one has a job to do. Even if we lose the game, did I do my job? Yes or no? That's what I look at. Yes, I want to win and I want to make winning plays, but sometimes you can't carry an entire team. Sometimes that burden is too great. Did you do your job well? Absolutely. Now, when you get around better players and you get better, then that stuff starts to shine and have more carry weight and potential. Same here, okay? Again, I told you guys, I gave you guys in a video how they would lose this game. Duncan Robinson went off, they lost the game. Period. End of discussion. It's really as simple as that to me. Hell, they lost Jimmy Butler. They had one less guy to deal with. The point for me, because I know I'm a little off subject here, let me bring it back. The point for me is we have to come up with a consistent means of judging Lonzo Ball or any player, because I don't want 2 for 8 to be said it's a bad game necessarily. Because 2 for 8, yes, he could have shot the ball better, but did he play a bad game? That's the question. If he's 6 of 8 from shooting from 3, nobody has a problem that he didn't take the 2s. Matter of fact, let's make it even better. If he's 8 of 8 from 3, he had a good game. He had a great game. He had a great game because he made the shots. Now, what if he was letting people go on defense? People wouldn't care because he hit the shots. The psychology of people. And again, I want to make sure this is clear. This is not a shot at DJ. This is not a shot at anybody individually. Because I know I mentioned DJ because he was the last video he was the last thing I watched. I was riding to go get my Starbucks and I was listening to that. And I saw other comments and I thought about making this video and I was like, let me wait about it for a minute. Let me think about it. And I slept on it. And then I saw his live stream and I was like, you know what, I really got to make this video. So, again, this is not a shot at DJ, anybody on that panel. This is not a shot at anybody, okay? Let me be clear. What I want is consistency when we assess these guys. I always tell you guys, when I'm looking for in the game, it's not always statistical. I'm looking at playability. I'm looking at things, the subtle things. That's the stuff I'm focused on. Again, what did I also tell you guys about Lonzo? 15 to 20 games. We're only on game 2. You know what they say? It takes 21 days consecutively, or 21 days to learn a new skill or to create a habit. Okay? This is game 2. Why do y'all think I said 15 to 21? Let's start here. I'm not including the practices that they've had. Because that's one thing. I'm talking in-game experience. The preseason games kind of count too. It was only 2 of them. But 15 to 20 games, if we take 20 games, that's 22 games. He should have his habits built in by then. And I get it. We're talking about practice and the stuff he did this summer. I get that. Hear me out, guys. If it takes 21 days to build a habit, how many games is he going to need? He's going to need about 21. If we count the preseason, he needs 19. So about 20 games. I'm giving a couple of games here and there leeway. I'm being fair. Really, what I should be saying is probably 18 games for sure. But I'm trying to be as fair about this as possible. Lonzo still has to, what people have to understand is, okay, again, these guys played for a whole different coach last year. The year before that, they played for a whole different coach. It took them a month or 2 to get into the system, master, and start taking off. Okay, Lonzo is still who Lonzo always was right now. He is going to have to mature. That takes time. Those habits have to build. He can have a bad game. It's not bad for him. And I know nobody's sitting here saying, oh my God, he's a terrible player. Well, there are people saying that. There are people who've been saying that. But what I want you guys to understand and realize, give him time. Bad game, sure. Lonzo is still trying to figure it out. The first game, we saw it come out, bam, okay? This game, different result. Okay, let's see what he does the next couple of games, okay? What if he goes into the Spurs? Let's say they lose the game against the Spurs, right? But what if he's scoring very well? What if he's attacking the basket, okay? Those habits are showing. After the 20th or 18th, between the 18th and 20th game, and I said 20th too because at the 21st game, that's when a habit should at least be solid. That's a benchmark. That's a precursor. I get that there's preseason, and I don't want to neglect preseason, but I also didn't think Stan was going to truly play them 30-something plus minutes, but he did. Okay, so fair enough. So really maybe around 18, 19, okay, but we're going to still be conservative and give him 21. Now, that's on. When I said that was on average. Lonzo is a genius in my eyes. It could take him less. He could be at game 15. Who knows? But the point is, and I had somebody, I can't remember their name, they saw me on Twitter, and it's like, you know what? I think I'm going to agree with you here. I think we need to wait 20 games, 15 or 20 games. And I think this game should be a gut check to everybody. Because even I said in my other video, I said, I thought he played this game. I thought he was a little ahead of schedule. He came back down to earth this game. Okay, now we got to watch the next game. How does he play? Okay, what is Stan going to have him do? Because he has to balance between, I'm Lonzo Ball, the player that I've always been. I'm Lonzo Ball, the player I want to be, and I'm also the Lonzo Ball that Stan wants me to be on this team per game. You have to balance the three. Because there's your core of who you've always been. There's the person you're trying to get to who is the best version of yourself. And that's the person everybody else wants you to be. We deal with this every day as human beings, okay? Lonzo is going through the same thing as a 23-year-old. And now he's got to unlearn Gentryism and learn Van Gundyism. Like, that takes time. Last year, what did he do? He did some of the same stuff that occurred in this game. This stuff is not without reason or without flaw. Do not kill this man for this. I'm not saying that Lonzo gets a pass for a bad game, just like we wouldn't give anybody else a pass. What I'm saying is be thoughtful in how you project your criticisms of him, because we can't just criticize him because of a moment. We have to look at the entire platter of stuff. For instance, Markelle Fultz, he had a good game opening night. But what happened to get him to that point? Now, last year, what happened to get him to that point? He had to come off the bench, and they got him there slowly. Especially because he played so few games the first two seasons. They had to rebuild this man up. Markelle Fultz, who he used to be, who Markelle Fultz is trying to be, who the organization and the team wants him to be. That is three things to try to balance within yourself, especially at such a young age. The same thing is true here for Lonzo Ball. See, the blackout is starting to go away. Y'all are starting to be able to visually see me now. What I need you guys to please understand, because I want you to think about something. Let's not remove Lonzo from this and put yourself. There's the person you were, who sometimes is calling you and pulling you. There's the person you want to be, which is what you're trying to go to. And then there's what everybody else wants you to be, or what they think. It's a struggle at times for us as regular people. Imagine it's a basketball player, and he still has to be a dad and all this other stuff. I'm not saying cut Lonzo slack. I'm saying criticize him in a way that is constructive, thoughtful, and makes sense for the situation. Now, again, to what I said, Lonzo didn't have a good game. He didn't have a good game because, one, What I thought he didn't do is a combination of all the things. I don't think the person he used to be was there much. I don't think the person he was trying to be was there much, and I don't think he fulfilled what Stan wanted him to do. He failed on all three fronts, to me. He left a lot of things on the court, and that's fine. But am I taking this as saying, okay, and gonna thrash him too much? Absolutely not. I'm going to respect the process. Again, this is why I put my neck out there, because at the end of the day, when those 15 and 20 games is up, you guys are going to look at me and be like, okay, Jay Strokes, what's up? You said this, now what? And you know what? I will criticize then at that point. I will criticize appropriately for those things. Even I'm gonna criticize regardless. Let me be honest. I'm gonna criticize regardless if he does something good or bad, because there's always room for improvement. I'm gonna give him praises where he does his things good. Even if he had shot 8 of 8 today and played good defense, I'd say great. But there's still other things I would have liked to see from him better. Better command of the offense is one of them. Better shot selection overall, or more shots. Maybe he would have took more shots too. Who knows? Maybe the team would have fed him. Maybe the ball would have been in his hands more. We don't see things flex and shift. They flex and shift based on what's going on. So Lonzo only took a couple shots. He had 6 shots going into the fourth quarter. Okay, but the other games he had like 5 shots within the first quarter. He had like 6 or 7 shots by the halftime. He didn't even crack that this game. He had far less shots. Now, granted, he played a lot more of the first quarter than he did, I believe, the other day, and he got in foul trouble, so he had more energy to spare. He was extra aggressive the rest of the game the other day. Yesterday, they had to come from behind from a lead. So they probably dug in and was like, okay, we got to take threes. And knowing these guys, this is a Gentryism. We got to take more threes. The numbers are balanced out. If we take threes, we got enough three-point shooters. What did they start doing? They start checking up threes. Now, they started making some of them, but they also played some defense because Stan was in their ass. When the Pels started winning, it's because B.I. and Zoe came back in the game. That's when they started winning. And B.I. played the entire third quarter. And even Stan had to admit, he was like, man, I should have went into my bench a little bit more. My guys were done. Okay? So even Stan, and this is another thing, I got to make a video about this. Stan has to be critiqued too, because he needs time too, because he's back to coaching after being out of it for like years. He's got to develop his habits. There's things that he still has to grow. There are things that Gentry are going to be better on him because Gentry has been coaching recently and he hasn't. There's all kinds of stuff here. There's a learning curve for everybody. For everybody. People were talking about Zion had a bad game because he had 15 and 10. I thought he had a pretty good game, actually. And that's his first game. I think he had a worse game in this game. Honestly, he got 32 points and like 14 rebounds, I believe, this game. But I think he had a worse game here despite the numbers, and he had a better game when he got 15 and 10, even though he got into foul trouble. I thought he was better defensively. I thought he took better shot selection. I thought he was more active all over the court. I thought his presence was felt more. I don't think he was as good this game. But here's my thing. He still has to develop habits too, because guess what? He played over 20-some games with Gentry, and he played him out of shape. He has to get himself involved to a certain degree too, to a certain place. B.I. does too. B.I.'s taking on a role as basically the all-purpose guy and point guard. They're playing him like he's LeBron with a jump shot. So he has to learn. Like, this is a learning and critical curve for everybody. I need everybody to understand this. When we critique these guys, we got to look at the situation overall. Again, Lonzo left a lot on the court, along with the rest of the team. I'm not saying he didn't do so. I'm not saying he is above criticism. I'm just saying let's be fair and critique this man and the team overall properly. Because, again, even Stan, and I like this, Stan admitted to his mistakes post-game. He was accountable. He was like, look, the players having bad games, that's going to happen. In the long season, that happens. You deal with that. What he can't deal with is the pick and roll coverage. And he also said, on my end, I haven't drilled that enough with them, so guess what? We got to work on that. He was like, my instructions on how they were supposed to play was not clear. Again, this is Stan admitting to his problems as a coach. He has a learning curve. Just because he has experience, he took time off. He still has a curve to get back into the rhythm. He's still learning. He's also said, some of his play calling has not been the best. Again, which means that some of this is not on Lonzo and B.I. and on the team. It's on Stan. Yes, what they did on the court is their decision making, their shot taking. Yes, that is them. Their execution, that is them. I get that. And Stan even gets that. But he's also saying, look, there's some things I haven't quite gotten yet under coaching, and that's why I got these guys here to kind of help balance me out, but I still got to get back into the thick of things. He needs the game. The 15 to 20 games is not just for the players, it's for the coach. Because he knows he's got to deal with the old Gentry stuff that's still in these guys to get them to play Stan. In those games, they will be more Stan-like than they will be Gentry. I'm just telling you guys. So again, as this no longer becomes a blackout, the blackout fades. I just want you guys to understand this. Again, this is not a shot at DJ, at anybody else. What's the guy's name? Revolution Radio. I can't remember the other guy that got on. It's not a shot at any of those guys. If you guys just, hey, it's all love. It is not a shot at you guys. It's not a shot at anybody on Twitter or Facebook, even though they got me banned for 7 days for some bullshit, but we ain't gonna get into that. This is just a general video. I want people to see this and think about this. Like, maybe he got a point. Remember, there's a reason I tell you guys the stuff that I tell you. Now, again, not everything I say is going to be right. Okay? I could sit here and say 15 to 20 games, and I could still be wrong. But I think it makes more sense to give these guys that threshold of games to get to a certain point before we actually start murdering them with critiques. Okay? I really think we need to be patient with these guys. Critique them, yes, but not too heavily right now. Not giving them a pass, but just understand where they are. Okay? Young players, new system, trying to get accommodated. I'll give y'all another example, and I'm going to get off here. Lakers last year, they weren't the best team up front. They lost to the Clippers twice. They lost to a couple teams. Then, about halfway through the season, they became the best team in the West. Not quite halfway. It's about a quarter of the way or so there. About between games 20 and 30, which is right around what I'm saying. Between 20 and 30, they became the best team in the West. What happened? They had a slate of games last year before the pandemic when they beat quality teams. They beat Milwaukee, and they came back and beat the Clippers. And at that point, they were the best team in the league. This is around like the 50th or so games before the pandemic hit. But they were on a roll. They were clearly the best team in the West prior. And then, but there was questions about could they beat the Bucks or if they could beat the Clippers, and they came out and beat both. But you have to accommodate all those other pieces they got because they had a lot of changeover and they had a lot of guys. Plus, they had Frank Vogel. So they had to accommodate. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Give people time. Let's just be patient about it and understand where they are. This is your boy Jay Strokes. Y'all have a good one. Peace.